Hola clase. Practica las conjugaciones de los verbos AR, ER, IR. Practice on a sheet of paper and see if you can conjugate the verbs below. All of these verbs are regular verbs, so they follow the rules for AR, ER, and IR verbs. When you're finished, compare your work with the answers on the next slide. ¿Cómo hiciste? How did you do? Keep practicing. There will be a quiz coming up later where you'll have to conjugate verbs like this. Let's talk about your daily schedule. We're going to learn about time and talking about what we do during the day. On this slide, you see my daily schedule. On a separate sheet of paper, write out your own daily schedule from the time that you get up in the morning to the time that you go to bed. When you're finished, move on to the next slide. Ahora vamos a hablar sobre la hora. Now we're going to talk about time. One thing that you'll need to know is how to ask what time it is. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? ¿Qué hora es? Before we can answer that question, do you remember your numbers? Practice the numbers and see if you can say them in Spanish. If you want, take out a sheet of paper and write these numbers out in Spanish. When you're finished, go to the next slide and check out your numbers. ¿Cómo hiciste? How did you do? We use numbers frequently. Today we're going to use them with time. Okay, vámonos. When we're talking about time, it's important to know that we're talking about the hour. La hora. La hora means the hour. It also means the time. La hora is feminine. If it's 1 o'clock, then that's 1 hour. So it's singular, singular and feminine. Therefore, when we say the time is 1 o'clock, our sentence is going to start off with es la, and then we say one. Es la una. Okay? Una becomes feminine because hour is feminine. For all of the other hours, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on, that's plural. So we start the sentence off with son las. Son las dos, it's 2 o'clock. Son las tres, it's 3 o'clock. Son las cuatro, it's 4 o'clock. And so on, all the way up until 12 o'clock. Now let's talk about the minutes. If the minute hand is on the right side of the clock, then you're going to use the word y between the hour and the minutes. Es la una y diez, it's 1:10. Son las dos y diez, it's 2:10. Look at the first clock on the left. The minute hand is on the right side of that clock. The sentence under the clock says, son las cuatro y diez. It is 4:10. The word y means and it is placed between the hour, cuatro, and the minutes, diez. Son las cuatro y diez. Now let's look at the clock on the right. The minute hand is on the left side of the clock. Just like in English, there are two ways that we can say what time it is. First, we can say the actual hour and the actual minutes. It is 4:55. If we go this approach, then nothing changes in Spanish. We still use the word y between the hours and the minutes. Son las cuatro y 55. However, many times we say that there are so many minutes until the next hour. It is 5 to 5, or it's 5 of. So in Spanish, they do the same similar thing, but they use the word minus. So minus so many minutes before the next hour. Son las cinco menos cinco. It is 5 minus 5. In other words, it's 4:55. Now look at the paragraph on the third column. This is just repeating what I just explained. Many times when the minute hand is on the left side of the clock, we say that there are so many number of minutes before the next hour. If it is 1:50, we might say that it's 10 to 2. In Spanish, they would say, son las dos menos diez. Okay, vamos a practicar. Let's practice with some easy ones first. On a sheet of paper, write a complete sentence indicating what time is on each of these clocks. Write your numbers in Spanish, please. When you're finished, Move to the next slide to check your work. ¿Cómo hiciste? How did you do? On the first clock, did you start your sentence off with es la? Remember, anytime you talk about 1 o'clock, that's singular, es la una. The rest of your sentences should have started with son las because the hours are plural. Son las cuatro, son las seis, son las ocho, son las 10, son las 12. AM and PM. In Spanish, they don't say AM and PM. What you would say is de la mañana, if it's in the morning, de la tarde, if it's in the afternoon, de la noche, if it's in the evening or nighttime. From 12 a.m. to 11:59 a.m., that's the morning, de la mañana. If it's 12 a.m., la medianoche is another word you can say in order to indicate that it's midnight, la medianoche. From 12 p.m. to roughly around 5 or 6, it's the afternoon, de la tarde. If it's 12 p.m., we might also say that it is noon, el mediodía. And then for evening and nighttime, starts roughly around 6 or 7. There's no exact time for that. But for evening and nighttime, de la noche is your phrase, de la noche. Vamos a practicar un poco más. Let's practice a little bit more. On a sheet of paper, write a complete sentence indicating what time it is. Don't forget to add whether it is de la mañana, de la tarde, or de la noche. When you're finished, move to the next slide to compare your work with the answers. ¿Cómo hiciste? How did you do? For the top 3 clocks, the minute hand is on the right side of the clock, so there's only one way to say what time it is. Es la 1:10 de la tarde for the first clock. For the second clock, son las 4:25 de la tarde. Son las 6:03 de la noche. It is 6:03 at night. That's the third clock on the top row. For the bottom row, the minute hand is on the left side of the clock, meaning we have 2 ways that we can say what time it is. Son las 8:58. It is 8:58. Or we could say it's 2 minutes to 9. Son las 9 menos 2. The middle clock, son las 10:40. It is 10:40. Or you can say that it is 20 minutes to 11. Son las 11 menos 20. And the last clock, there's a trick here. First, if we're going to say it's 12:50, we still have to do the plural version, son las 12:50. But if we're going to say that it's 10 minutes to 1, remember, 1 o'clock is singular, therefore we have to switch to the singular version of the sentence. Es la 1:10. Es la 1:10. It is 10 minutes to 1. Now let's talk about quarter past, half past, and quarter till. The word cuarto in blue at the top means quarter. Es la 1:15. All right, it is quarter after 1. The clock underneath it, son las 4 menos cuarto. It is 4 minus a quarter. That would sound strange in English. What we would really say in English is it's 3:45. But something else I wanted to point out, cuatro and cuarto. Cuatro, where the R is after the T, means the number 4. Cuarto, where the R is in front of the T, means quarter. Remember your spelling. You move one letter and you could change the whole meaning of the word. Cuatro, 4, cuarto, quarter. Son las 4 menos cuarto. It is 3:45. Last clock on the right, half past. If you want to say it's half past the hour, you want to use the word media. Media means half. Son las 8:30. It's 8:30. Okay, last slide. Sometimes we ask what time something is going to happen at. ¿A qué hora? ¿A qué hora means at what time. So here on this slide, we have three examples. ¿A qué hora es la clase de español? At what time is Spanish class? When we answer the question, if we're going to answer with a long, complete sentence, then we want to write the Spanish class, la clase de español, is at 10:05. Es a las 10:05. If we're being lazy and just giving a short answer, then you would just answer the portion that is underlined, a las 10:05, at 10:05. Same thing in the next example. ¿A qué hora es el partido de básquetbol? At what time is the basketball game? El partido de básquetbol es a las 4:30. The basketball game is at 4:30. Or if we're keeping it short, just use what's underlined, a las 4:30. ¿A qué hora vas a casa? At what time are you going home? ¿A qué hora vas a casa? You would answer that, voy a casa a las 5. I'm going home at 5. Voy a casa a las 5. Sometimes on a homework or a quiz or a test, I will ask you to write complete sentences. So this slide demonstrates what I would like it to look like. La clase de español es a las 10:05. Other times I might say, just give me a short answer. So you can use the underlined portion to answer the question. ¿A qué hora? At what time? A las 10:05, at 10:05.